So I've had a few people call me out and say that I am high grading the way I do a timber harvest. And I will say it's not many people that have an issue with the way I do things, but there are people out there, and that's fine. But I wanted to take the time a little bit and explain why high grading is, I think what people have in their head is not actually what's going on. I think high grading, most people think of just taking the good timber, leaving the bad. And fundamentally, yeah, I disagree with that. I mean, that's a bad forestry plan. But I will say it comes down to what your goals are. A lot of the clients that I'm working with, and myself included, I have bought my property strictly for hunting. And that is the purpose of purchasing that property. And I do not see any reason to not be able to enjoy that property simply because the property is not holding deer. And so, in most scenarios, that means taking a good bit of timber. So behind me here, there's some pretty mature timber back up on this ridge. And this client in particular is a avid deer hunter. And again, his main goal is to harvest mature deer. And then secondly, this is also an investment property. So for him, he's looking at it, let's take a lot of the big mature timber that is taking up canopy space and allow that regeneration to grow. And yeah, that means taking a lot of really good timber that may not even be quite at its prime yet because you need to get adequate amounts of sunlight to the ground. And so if you're looking at it strictly from a management standpoint, no, I would never cut this job or this property as hard as what we are. But if you look at it through the lens of hunting, it begins to make a lot more sense. So, I do work with some clients that, hunting is not at all the main objective on the property. They're simply looking to manage the timber. Totally different approach. We are taking only the very, very most mature trees that absolutely need to go. And then we're also taking a lot of the undesirables out. We're taking, your beech trees. We're taking like a lot of the low quality stuff and managing more so for timber production over the long term. But you just have to have a different mindset when going in for a harvest for whitetails. Now, I will say, I do understand where, some of these guys are coming from. Looking at it from the timber side of things as a, land manager, I love timber. I love mature timber. I like seeing a beautiful white oak coming up. And, honestly, it pains me sometimes to go through and mark a property like this as hard as what I am, knowing what it's going to look like on the other side. That being said, my goal is ultimately results for my clients. I have seen the flip side of properties not being done correctly, where it was the hunting aspect was sort of an afterthought, hoping it would improve it. And, they did a great job with the way they harvest the timber for timber production, but it's not holding the deer. And, then they have me come back out and, we ended up marking another good bit of timber simply because, it was not accomplishing the ultimate goal. And, that was just lack of knowledge, lack of education to the guy that went in and marked that. Being a deer hunter myself, I have a lot of experience working around different properties. I've had the privilege of hunting multiple properties throughout Ohio, and almost every single one of them I have done a harvest on, whether that was back when I was doing subcontract, whether that's, stuff that I've personally marked, whatever it is. I've hunted a bunch of different properties. They've always been cut out. And I've been able to see what works and what doesn't. I can assure you, doing a light harvest and, quote, not high grading it's not accomplishing the goal. I mean, it's not holding deer. Your deer are passing through, and you're not creating the browse that needs to be there, and it just don't have results. The best property that I've hunted, we borderline did a clear cut on. That one didn't have a say in how it was harvested. And to be honest, even that was a little bit on the hard side. I think you could have done it a little bit differently, but it has results. I've seen more deer on that one little 55 acres than a lot of the other properties that I've hunted that we've done more selective harvests on. And so it's really neat to see the results, you know, and then also down the road, you know, what's it look like year one, what's it look like year two, year three, and you begin to see trends and patterns that happen over the life cycle of doing a harvest. And so I understand where these guys are coming from. Again, I get it, but at the same time, you have to look at it through the lens of what your goals as a land manager are. And if they are to simply, you know, sustainably harvest timber over the long term and, you know, manage for timber production, that is one thing. We can have that discussion. But most of my clients are looking to maximize for deer hunting. Hope that makes sense. If I provided any value, like, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any questions or if there's any video suggestions that you have. I would love to hear you guys' feedback. I'll see you in the next one.